Good evening. Kind of mess already, again, from my side that is. Let's bring on the music here. It was a little bit too late because I forgot to put the live stream on. Let's check quickly if the live stream is actually streaming. And YouTube should be up and running, yes. And Twitch also up and running. Good. It's February 15 today. It's the first stream of the week. It's Tuesday, and we've just heard from our government that we are opening up completely within 1 or 2 weeks. So that's a celebration. Not sure the COVID is still gone, but we are opening up again. So let's start the show. Welcome back. Let's bring the mic a little bit down, out of sight. Let's go to the code window. What I wanted to do today is have a look at database access on the API that we have in the website. If we go to the www.softasinsoftware.com website, why is this in the add-in mode? It's not necessary. What I wanted to do as a demo thing for today is try to get the gear page in place, and that can be a simple table or something, but we have to do that through the API because we have a WebAssembly application, and there should be no secrets and stuff in the Blazor application. Softasinsoftware.com. Thursdays we have the Office add-in stream, and today we have the full Blazor kind of thing. And I'm starting my watch to go out for a walk. That's not what I'm supposed to have been doing today. Well, I did do a walk today, but not right now. Let's close all the tabs first. Last week we have been looking at the buttons and things on the about page. Let's close all tabs. Oh, and there is also again a new version, I think. Visual Studio update again. Preview 1. So we're stepping over to 72.0 preview 1. Not now. We'll do that after the stream. Unless you all like to see me updating Visual Studio and do nothing else than that. So what I wanted to start with is have a look at the API. We have APIs on the programs, I think, at this time, because it's a mini API, minimal database, minimal API, with at this time only collecting the YouTube playlist. And what I wanted to do is pick up one of the learning modules from here. Not from here, but from here. Thank you for using Edge Canary. And why is this such a light screen? What we're going to do today is use a database with minimal API, Entity Framework Core, and ASP.NET Core. Well, not ASP. Yeah, it is ASP.NET Core to be precise. But because that's the backend for our API, and we will use SQLite for database because it's a really small database. Let's see if I'm logged in here, because I also want my learning points to be active, and I accept all cookies, obviously. Just log in here. I have to approve on my device. Will I sign this? Okay. Yes, let's do that. And stay signed in. Yes. For now, that is. I'm already on 60,000, almost 60,000 points. 75,575. And can we switch it to dark mode? Maybe. To download. Oh. There's no way to make this dark mode, or is it? No, that's setting for the browser, I think. Settings, appearance. Is there appearance there? So not. No settings on top. Appearance. Let's make it dark for now, because that's, I think that's better readable, especially on stream. I'm watching another stream from one lion on my other screen, because he's doing some excellent Blazor stuff. That caused me to be too late again on my own stream. So I did switch. Yeah, that's it. Much better. Now let's have a look. We need some familiarity with .NET 6 and a basic understanding of what an API is. Well, the lucky thing is that we have been doing this previously in the previous streams. And why did I click something? I want to go into introduction. When you build a web application that deals with data, you most likely want to store the data in the database. Fortunately, minimal APIs built on ASP.NET Core can be easily integrated with a large variety of databases used by Entity Framework Core. Scenario: build a prototype. You're a developer on the team, you build an API, blah blah blah. What will you learn? Entity Framework Core. We start with an in-memory database, and then into SQLite. You also learn how to use the Entity Framework to query the database, add database support for your minimal API application. And I want to build this into my application immediately, so I won't follow the pizza demo, but I will make that my gear demo. The entity class. And in our case, we already have some sort of an entity. We can close this there, and let's make this a little bit smaller. How small can we make this? We can put this on top of the Solution Explorer, I think. So instead of using the namespace pizza store models, we want to use a different model, and we put the model in the shared section, and we have one item in there. I'm always surprised why there's so much space in there, but that's because there is something getting in between while loading. So let's bring in a new class here. And call that, I think, just gear. There's a shared model, and then this will be public class gear. Public class gear, and oh, that's not what we want. We want to have a property int ID get set. Yeah. Now I have to open up my gear list that I've been collecting. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. If only I knew where I stored this. Open. Browse. I do this on the other screen because there's way too much information. And I disabled the frequent used folders, so it must be on documents maybe. No. Where will it be? Was it 2022? No. 2021? No. Was it on disk drive? Maybe. Oh. Let's see if it's on here. Documents maybe. I lost my document with the gear in there. Darn it. Where did I put it? No. Oh, maybe in my teams. There it is. Yeah, I created a team for this. Can you imagine? So what it uses in here is a description. That would be a description. What do we do with pizza over here? The pizza has a name and a description. I should do the same thing, maybe, name and description, because a name would be a good thing as well. Oh, that's already there. Thanks for that. So the autopilot description, and it would also be taking a URL, a string URL. Maybe also the short URL. And maybe an image. Just doing some things there. Maybe we change them later on, but for now that should be okay. We have models, so all these crap can go away, I think. Let's start with string empty in all cases by default. Otherwise the compiler will complain. The context class. The application has only one entity class, but most applications will have multiple entity classes. The context class is responsible for querying, saving the data to your entity classes, and for creating and managing the database connection. Perform CRUD operations with entity framework core. After entity framework core is configured, you can use to perform create, read, update, and delete operations CRUD on your entity classes. Then you can develop against a C# class, delegating the database operations to the context class database providers. In turn, translate it to database specific query language. An example. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Where were we? An example is SQL for relational database. Queries are always executed against the database, even if the entities returned in the results already exist in the context. Query data. A context object exposes a collection class for each entity type. In the preceding example, the context class exposes a collection of pizza objects as pizzas, and in my case it will be gear items, maybe gear item, I don't know, gear list. Given that we have an instance of the context class, you can query the database for all pizzas, var pizzas, await database pizzas to list async. Insert data. You can use the same data context object to insert a new pizza. Await db pizzas async. Db pizza ID is one something pepperoni, the classic pepperoni pizza. Deleting data will be find the ID for the gear item, and then if pizza equals null, then yeah, there's nothing to delete, otherwise remove it. Update data, ID, update pizza is a new pizza. object, taking the information, finding the existing one. If it's null, there's nothing to update. Otherwise, it will push over the new one. Pizza is complete. Was pizza is complete for? Is that some reference? Oh, it's just adding some additional information, I think, because the... Is it also in the model? No. By the way, this is nullable. These are nullable strings. We can do the same thing. Otherwise, it needs to be filled with something. Alt dot 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 dot. I learned this from the previous stream. How cool is this? Oh. Make this all nullable. Oh, interesting. It's doing it all over the place. It's keeping this. That's nice. Now it's completely messed up, I think. Why is that not allowed? Should be okay. Type expected. Oh, yeah, stupid. That should obviously not be there. That should be in here, and now we have another option here, like this, and then do that. All these cool shortcuts. Where were we? Here. Delete data, update data, use the Entity Framework core in memory. Entity Framework core includes in-memory database provider can be used to test your application. The in-memory database provider is useful for testing and development, but it should not be used in production. Oh, really? Why not? Maybe it's because it's in memory. If you shut it down, your memory is gone. In the next unit, you will use the in-memory database provider to create a database and perform CRUD operations on it. And where's my next button here? Why is that moving away? That's not cool what I do here. Oh, that is cool, by the way. If the button is gone, you get this thing on in the footer, previous next. How cool is that? Next. Exercise. Well, we already have an application, and we have .NET application. Set up the project. We have a project in place. Go to Pizza Store. That's the thing there. Swashbuckle. We don't need swashbuckle, I think, because we have something else in place that's called Not there, it should be in here. Program, there. We have Swagger in place. So interesting that they have swashbuckle. What's the use of swashbuckle? Buckle? Is that mentioned? Install the swashbuckle package. No explanation. Google. Is that Swagger? Swash. Buckle. It is. That's from Swagger. I think. Yeah. So that does mean that we have swashbuckle in place, maybe here on the project. Nugget packages, nugget packages. There you are. And we have updates here. We have no updates yet. Okay. Create a pizza file in the models part that we already created a gear part there. Open program CS and highlighted coded. Add highlighted code. Program. And I have to pick the right one. This one. Let's close the other one for now. So using Microsoft Open API models, we have the shared models here. Build service, add endpoint API Explorer. I think that's already in there. Yeah. Services, add Swagger. The Swagger thing should also be in here. And this has some extra information. That's interesting. So let's make this a little bit smaller, just to be able to read the other one. Something like this. C, fat arrow. Starting next section, curly brackets, C, Swagger, doc. Let's make this version 1. Open API info. Curly brackets again. Title equals to soft as in software API. Description. Soft provides data for soft as in software version equals to v1. That's the end of the curly brackets there. Then we have the terminators there. something missing. Builder services, that should be okay. This one should be indenting. And there should be a new in between. New API info with initializers. Why is this red? Is that because it's using Microsoft Open API models? It is. Oh, and there is also some text here to explain it. Should probably have read that first. Then we are missing something here still, because this one is that's this one. It should be that one. Matching. Yeah. Matching that one, that's correct. Then there's app Swagger, use Swagger. And here, this is doing something different. Swagger endpoint. See fat arrow, then we open and close things and terminate it. See Swagger endpoint. Swagger endpoint. What does it show in here? Adds Swagger JSON endpoints. Can be fully qualified or relative to the UI page. So for that we should say double quotes Swagger v1 Swagger JSON, comma, soft as in software API v1. Something like this. Same things, we keep that in place. .NET add package. Now we're going to add the Microsoft Entity Framework in memory package version some 6 something. Go back to NuGA packages. Let's search for this in memory. latest stable version 602. Let's do that. Install. Okay. And I accept. Go back to program. Now we have to add another line here using Microsoft Entity Framework Core. Just like that. And on top of the pizza CS files, we don't have a pizza CS file yet. And add, so we need to create another class in here. DB context should be put this in the model, or don't think so. Add new item, new class. Where is the new class in here? There. Make that gear db .cs. And this also needs the using Microsoft Entity Framework Core. And we derive this from db context. Public gear db connection, the db context option, context options, base options. Next line, public db set of type gear. And no, not gear db, gear. To do that, we need the models in there. Gear list. Something like that. Let's see, expose the pizzas property from the list of pizzas in the database. They use in-memory database to wire the database. Let's see, DB context represents the connection for a session that's used to query and save instances of entities in the database. Add using pizza store models on the top of the program CS. Pizza store models. In program CS, before to call add swagger gen, we need to go into program again. Builder services. add DB context of type gear DB. We have to put that in the usings. Oh. Options. Options. Use. Oh, I need to add the options. Fat arrow. Options. Use. In-memory databases for now. Database. Items. Missing this one. Let's see if it's matching now. Yes, it's matching. Return a list of items. To read a list of items in the pizza list, add the following code. It's an API command like this. We can put it just below here. App map get slash gear list. Let's put some quotes around it, obviously, otherwise it's no string. No strings attached. Async. Gear DB. Fat arrow. Wait. DB. Gear. List to list async. Terminating it. That's all. Run the application. Okay, now let's go here and run this all. Let's see if we got some result already. There we have Swagger. And we have a gear list option now. And let's check the output as well here. On where is my Vistio? There. Output. Yeah, we have some warnings for non-nullable items. One nullable items. No output, there was output here. Hosting lifetime. Current route path. Not sure where it put all this information for these things. Let's go to Swagger here. it's a little bit smaller. And then we do get gear list. And then try it out, I think. Try it out. Execute. It's empty. Nullable. That's the YouTube videos we already had in there. So we're extending it with gear now. Now we have to put in some items to see if it's also working with some new items in there. So extend that here, create new items, app, map, post, and that will be gear. Forgot the quotes again. How useful is that? Async gear db gear db db comma gear fat arrow need to be terminated. Then we have some initializers, await db gear list, add async gear await db save changes async. It's all doing all the work for me already. Return results created. Pizza, no, not pizza, gear, and then the gear ID. Did I rename that with full capitals? It is, that's not nice. That should be lowercase. Comma gear. Test the API. Go back to Swagger. Let's run this again. Swagger. Now we have a get and a post. Select get pizzas. I said get gear list. Get gear list. Yeah, but we have to put in one first. We should do the post first. Try it out. Post. Try it out. replace the body request with something like name description and descriptions would be something like, what do I use? I use a Sony 6400. Sony, oh. Sony 6400. That's my cam over there. And the name, the name should be Sony 6400. Make that an incredible cheap high quality streaming cam. The first one ends comma. Incredibly cheap. Is that right English? Select execute. Oh, where's the execute? Copy. Reset. Request body should be something like this. Oh, why can't I change this? That sort of automatically pulls it in. Try it out. Oh, there's the execute button there. Execute a response 201 undocumented. So we have an ID 1 Sony, incredibly cheap, high quality cam, and all the other items are null. So this is success. Now get all the gear items. Get, try it out, execute. That gave us one item with an incredibly cheap, high quality streaming cam. Cool. That works. Now we're going to update an item. To get an item by ID, add the code under app map post route created earlier. Map post. Add the code to get one ID. App map post. Now map get. That should be something like gear list slash curly brackets, I think, ID async fat arrow, await db gear list, find by ID, I think, find async, using the ID. Why is this all squiggly? That's because I forgot something here. Here is ID, async. Yeah, requires restarting the application. I still can't getting used to these purple square squigglies. How do you name them? Okay, we have to restart this, so stop this then. Run it again. Go to Swagger here, gear list ID. So the example in here was go to something like this, but that's in our case it should be, let's see what the port is, 70 67. $70 67, and that should be gear list 1 maybe. That's null. And that's because we just started it. There's nothing in there. If we make this like this, it's empty. Now we have to go back here, post, and try it out. Let's make that ID 1. No, let's leave that out. Sony 6400 and incredibly cheap streaming camera. Cheap, high quality. Quality. And let's execute. Success. So now go to the URL there. Gear list, complete gear list. That's complete list. We are just one item 1. There's only the first item. Cool. That all seems to work. close this. Now we have to update an item. App map put gear list / gear list curly brackets ID async gear db dot int id. I would think fat arrow initializers for gear equals to await db gear list find async id if gear is null return results dot not found gear name equals to update pizza. That should be, I forgot the section here. It should not be ID, it should be gear db and then gear update gear update gear name gear description. No, let's set description equals to update gear description await db save change async return results no content that's all. Let's terminate it properly. And now missing something. No, not missing something. For if it's no returning, otherwise update the information and then await for the save changes. Okay. Let's run this. Now let's update something in the in here. The gear list is empty. Now we have to post a new one. Try it out. That should be no ID here. The name should be Sony 6400. Description incredibly cheap, high quality streaming camera. Remove camera. Like this. Let's push this in. Now we go to the gear list. Try it out. Execute. We have. Did we get something? Yeah, so Sony and incredibly cheap something. Now we are going to rename, change that, update it. Put. Try it out. We're going to change ID. Let's keep the name the same, but only update the description. High quality stream camera for only little amount of pecunia. Only a little amount of pecunia. Pecunia. There's no comma in there. Let's execute this. Did that happen? Oh, it's required. Does it require an ID? Yes, it needs one in there. So why does it also need the ID in the request body then? That's interesting. I think I've wondered that before. Execute. There we are. Now go back to that. High quality stream camera, only a little amount of pecunia. The update succeeded. Excellent. So now we only need to be able to delete the item as well. App, map, delete. Gear list. Brackets, ID, comma, async. You know the drill. Gear, db, comma, int, ID, fat arrow, initializers, var gear list equals to await db gear list find async, and that should have the ID in there. If gear list equals to null, is null, because this is entity framework language. If it's null, then return result not found. Very smart. db gear list Otherwise, gear list remove. How smart is this code generator? Await db save changes async. It's already fixed. Return results. Sometimes I'm just waiting to have the code generator kick in and terminate it with the semicolon. Good. I think we have them all in place now. Now trying to delete an item. Let's run this again. Run the website. Then go back to the Swagger UI. Now we have some title there, provides data for the software as a software thingy. So now let's get gear list, should be empty. Oh, I said gear list. Get, try it out, execute. Gear list empty. Add an item in there. Post a gear item. Try it out. Let's remove the ID here. Make that Sony 6400 again. Looks like a commercial for Sony here. Streaming camera. And execute. And now we can collect the item again, I think. Oh. It should be gear list. Yeah, there it is. Streaming camera. Now, let's delete the item there. Try it out. Let's pick an arbitrary value 4 here and see. This should fail. Did we see a null found there? Undocumented. Status 404. Let's try it again. F9. Cancel. Try it out. Execute. There we go. There's a gear list now. Gear list is null. Oh, it's already trying to find gear list. It should not find gear list. There's error in there. They should be. Oh, it is. Pizza. I would say this is not right. Let's stop this. This is incorrect code. It should be one gear item and it's looking it up in the gear list. And if gear item is empty, then it's not found. If not, then remove it from the gear list. And this should not be gear list, this should be gear ID, I think. Pizza, pizza. Pizzas, pizza. So only the list should have pizzas. All the other ones should have gear in there. So this is get all gear items in a list. This should add a gear item to the list. Then I would say this should be, I think, gear get an item by ID. That should be gear, not gear list. Then this should also be put one item in the list. Where is the put one? Map get, map put. That's this one. Map delete. Should also be gear. So let's try this again. Swagger. Let's get the empty list first. That should be empty. And it is. Now let's post an item. Try it out. Let's put one in there. Sony 6400. I think it's an A6400, by the way. Excellent small streaming camera. Execute. There's the result. Then get specific item. Let's try this out and put a 1 in there. Let's put a 4 in there. It gave a null. Put. Yeah, override things like try it out. and make that 1 and change that name there to Canon camera something. Execute. I think that was a success. Let's look it up. Copy. Now it's a Canon. The description. Did I not put the description in there? That's interesting. Okay. Oh. So does it override all the other items that are not in the list? Looks like it. Then delete items. Let's first collect the list again to see if it's actually one item. Get. Try it out. Execute. Now we have one Canon something with an empty description. And then delete. Let's pick this one and then try it out and try to get delete 4, but 4 does not exist. 10 is null. Now it should return null. Not found, I mean. This resulted something. Just 404. Apparently the the 404 is not found. And let's try this again with 1. Of 10. Now it has found it. Item ID 1 with name Canon, that's correct. Then save changes. Our result is okay. F5. And did we get? Yes, we got a 200 now. And now the list should be empty again. Gear list, execute, and now it's back to empty. Good. That's how we expected it. So we can now finish this up next. Delete item was the last one. Now use SQLite database provider with Entity Framework Core. The previous unit, let's move this a little bit over here. You learned how to persist data in the in-memory database. Persisting data in the in-memory database is useful in development, but because all data is lost when the application restarted, it isn't suitable for your production. In production, you should persist data to a database like a SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, or SQLite. Database provides abstract database access from application code. One of the benefits of the performing database access through abstraction layer like Entity Framework Core is that it decouples your application from the database provider. You can change the database provider without rewriting your database access code. You should expect to be able to switch database providers without any effect to your application code, but the changes will be minimized and localized. Najert, good evening. How are you doing? let's see. Relative advantage of using entity framework cores that you can reuse your code, experience, and data access libraries to work with any other entity framework core database provider. On the other hand, you probably never switch databases. For this tutorial, we'll use SQLite databases, but might also be use one that works better for you. Entity framework core currently supports more than 20 database providers. Working on my website. I'm also working on my website, and I'm trying to bring in the database in the backend to list my gear items. Because that's still an empty page. If you go to like this, software.com, the gear page is really empty here. It's basically some crickets over here. Do I have crickets? We have crickets. No, it's not finished. I'm still using a lot of things. I did add the about page last time with components for social, with some highlighting in there. If I now click on these items, you get cool social pages. This one should be alive. Currently live, yes, true. This one, by the way, is mentioning that I'm live on Twitter. And I'm reading that I just tweeted that there is a new version of VisStudio available. Also good to know. There's a lot of things I need to do. I need to do things with my schedule and contact information and a list of ideas and some login information, because if I want to maintain my gear list, it should be done by in admin mode only, but the security still needs to be in there. So the database is now in place. Now I'm going to replace it with SQLite. Steps to add, let's close this one first. Steps to add a new database provider. In general, you should be, you'll use the following steps to implement the database provider. Add one-on-one Nugget packages, basic but solid design you have. Yeah, I'm not really a designer, but I'm so happy with what is already there. As a non-designer person. And it's all learning the UI, learning the database, learning the backend, learning APIs, learning Blazor, WebAssembly, and there's a lot to learn. Exercise using the SQLite database provider with entity framework until this. Let's go bring this back in place. You've been saving your data in memory database. That's what we already said previously. But the data isn't persistent. As a result, the database will be lost when the application restarted. That's just a repeat from the previous page. Before you deploy your application, you need to persist data into the database. In this exercise, you will upgrade your application. To use a relational database to store your data, and you'll use SQLite to store the data. Complete the following sections to set up the SQL database. Use the .NET CLI and VisStudio Package Manager to install the following packages. I need the Microsoft Entity Framework Core SQLite package. Copy and then go to the API here. Manage NuGet packages, Nugget packages, SQLite. Let's install that. Okay, I accept. entity framework tools, .NET tool install global .NET EF. So I have to go, I'm not sure it's already in there, in my global settings. Open file location. CMD. Let's make it a little bit smaller to read the web page as well. So that should be .NET tool install global .NET dot is it no, dash, it's dash EF entity framework. You can invoke the tool using the following command: .NET EF tool.NET EF 602 was successfully installed. Tools for Entity Framework Core performs design time development tasks. For example, they create migrations, apply migrations, and generate code for a model based on existing database. .NET tool install, that's what we just did. Entity Framework Core design, we are adding the package now, the design package to the project. I want to ask, man, I'm working on HTML, CSS, JS, JavaScript, React. My goal is to work abroad remotely. Am I on true way? Yeah, there's so much to learn if you want to focus on React. That's a very popular framework, so why not? As you see, I'm currently working with the not the React framework, but with the Blazor framework. That's more like C#. React is more like JavaScript, but it's widely adopted, and I think it's the best adopted framework, React. And even within Microsoft, they use a lot of React. So yeah, good decision, I think. Do you have advice for me to for improve myself? Well, do what I do. Try to build your projects and build whatever you comes to mind. But the main priority is build something and don't just watch Twitch streams. And now I'm shooting myself in the foot because now you're hanging up your stream here and go away. Yeah, you should do mostly the coding. Try to code all by yourself. But I admit I do look. I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos myself, or Twitch streams like the one with One Lion. If you go to Twitch, because you are on YouTube promoting this like this, if you go to twitch.tv/OneLion, that's another great streamer doing Blazor development. So try to follow him as well. Learning from you when I watch you a little bit, you are doing a good searching and you know what you should do. Well, I don't always know what I should do, but I've about 30 years experience in software development, so I'm used to try and search things as quick as possible, and having some experience helps you finding it sometimes a little bit quicker, because I've been using with connection strings like this, and that's basically the same in all languages, and yeah, that helps you if you've seen it before. So again, do it a lot, try to do a lot of things, and learn from your mistakes. It's no issue when you make a mistake. You learn from that, and it will print in your brain, so next time when you have the same situation, you will immediately recognize the situation and do it right the second time. So I put the design package in, I think. Did I already install it? No, I did not already install it. Accept this. That's the design package. Now enable database creation, set the database connection string, migrate the data to SQLite database. In program CS under app builder, that's in here. That's on top of this, where we started with the memory model. That's now to be replaced with something else, I think. Under your app builder for web application, create builder. In here, where we have the gear database, we should add a connection string for connection string equals to builder dot configuration get connection string and we name that gear list, not pizzas. If that's in there, otherwise data source equals to and there should be gear list dot db. I have a last question. So you run out of questions. I'm gonna back to work. That's a good thing. What do you think about Code Wars, HackerRank, Lead Code? Am I need to work on these? I do like these to do to work on that every now and then. There are a lot of other websites as well that's try to challenge you with things like algorithms and make you build some code to build the algorithm that they ask for, and then they are trying to test your code and see if it's working or not. I learned a lot by doing that. Good thing. Data source will be gear list.db. That will be generated when it did not exist. The option here is also to get the connection string from the configuration. Add your context to your services. In the CRUD portion of this tutorial, you use the in-memory database. Now you're going to replace the in-memory database with a persistent database. Replace your current in-memory database. Implementation. Where is it? That's in here, I think. Builder. Services. GearDB options. With the code. Replace that with the code. Builder. I put it side by side to compare. See you later. Thanks for watching, and always appreciate when you step by. So see you next time, and have a nice working time, working day, or whatever. Bye bye. Let's continue here at SQLite. And that's called gear DB. Yep, there's a lot of text there. With connection string. Connection string. A connection string should be this one with a capital S in there. Now we need to remove this. Migrate your data model. .NET Entity Framework, that's done in the command line. You can now start your first migration, initial create. This should be done, I think. Creates a folder named migrations in your project directory that contains 2 files. So do I have a terminal? Terminal window. That's like a command, Visual Studio command, something. Command window there. Developer prompt. I think that's the one. Is it? I should add this to the API, I think. It would be better to put the database in its own project, but because I'm using it in the API, software in software API. Also should put the code in some folders. But let's first see what happens if we do this. .NET Entity Framework migrations. Add initial create. Initial create. Let's hope I don't kill my project. Build started. Creates a folder named migrations in your project directory that contains 2 files with code that represents the database migrations. Let's have a look. Yeah, we got a folder in there, migrations, with initial create and DB model snapshot. Create your database and schema. Now that you have completed the migration, you can use it to create the database and schema. In the terminal window, run the following command, database update command, to apply migrations to a database. Okay. .NET EF database update. you should see a newly created pizzas.database, and I will get something like a gear list database. There it is. Run and test the application. Now that you have backing database, your changes will be persisted. To test your application, run the .NET Run command in the terminal window and interact with the API Swagger. And this is command line. I'm not using the command line. I'm using my own Swagger interface. Swagger UI. So now get the gear list. Try it. Execute. And it's empty. So now post some gear in here. Try it out. Copy some items from the Excel sheet here. For instance, let's put in some Elgato lights. And for now, make that the same description and the URL. Copy. And the short URL. Execute. Let's see if that's the correct URL stored in there. Copy. There it is. I have two of these, one there and one over there. Let's go back to the gear list. Get gear list. Execute. Now we have one item in the list. And that's ID 1. Let's put another one in. Post. Let's make that something like what else do we have? The Stream Deck, for instance. And that has a different URL, obviously. That's the big URL. And then we have the small URL. I hope I copied the right one. Execute. Now we have item 2. Go to the gear list, get. Oh, it was already selected. Now we have 2 items in there. And let's do this. Copy. Yeah, there's a description here maybe. That's another device. I have it over there. I can press my button here to put in some subscriber information. Let's select some text here. And maybe you can put that in a description. Let's see, where is it? This one. We try this and bring that ID to, and then change this over here, and then go back to the description there, copy. Something like that. Let's see if that's working. Execute. 204. Success, apparently. Let's try get the gear list again. And now there is some comment in there as well. Cool. That all seems to work. Now, let's get back to the training page. Run and test the application. That's what we did. Next. Knowledge check. Which of the following statements is true about Entity Framework Core? It's the only way to access data from minimal applications. It's guaranteed to allow switching databases with no code changes. It stores data in memory, which is appropriate only in development. It's a lightweight, extensible, and cross-platform data access technology for .NET applications. It's not only in memory, I think. It's an option. It's lightweight, extensible, cross-platform. It is cross-platform. It's the only way to access data from. That's not true. It's guaranteed to allow switching database with no code changes. I'm not sure that's really true. I would almost say it would be this one. Bring in your votes. Second one, which of the following statements describes how an entity class is used for Entity Framework Core? Entity class creates and manages the database connection. No. Each class represents a business object in your application and generally maps to a single database table. A single table, I'm not sure if it's a single table. An entity class is useful only in development. No. But it will need to be will need to be replaced by context class. No. Entity class describes the HTTP endpoints that an application exposes and provides a convenient data input page. No, that's the Swagger thingy. So I would say this one then. Which step is used to create a SQLite database? Executing a .NET EF database update. Yeah, I think so. Command after creating one or more migrations. Running the .NET Watch. No, that's for monitoring your debugging. Creating an Entity Framework Core context class which inherits from DB constant. No, that does not create the database. Executing the builder service add SQLite pizza DB connection string. No, that connects it only. So I would say this one. Let's see if all the answers are right. Yay! Correct. Summary. In this module, you learned how to add a database to a minimal API application by using Entity Framework Core. Entity Framework Core is an easy way to manage data in .NET applications. It's a lightweight object-oriented object relational mapper that provides high-level abstraction over the database. In the module, you use SQLite. You can also use other database providers like MySQL, PostgreSQL, and Microsoft SQL. Learn more, blah blah blah, videos and more, build applications and stuff like that. So that's the first part. We have now an API available. So let's close that. And we can now close this as well, and Swagger, and then this, exit, exit. So now we need to do something in the UI to show the list items. For that, I think we can use the second part of this. That's another training. Interact with data in Blazor web apps. Create a user interface with Blazor components. Create a user interface, access data from a Blazor component, access data from a Blazor component exercise, share data in Blazor applications, share data in Blazor applications, bind controls to data in Blazor applications, bind controls, and so forth and so forth. Let's start here. Let's see if we can use this. Blazor creates an interactive something blah blah blah, JavaScript, pizza delivery. I think this is just a follow-up on the previous one. Next, create a user interface with Blazor components. Blazor components lets you define web pages or portions of HTML that include dynamic content using the .NET code. Blazor blah blah. Understand Blazor components is a framework. That's what we already have in place. Say a server WebAssembly. In Blazor you build UI from self-contained portions called components. Each component can contain a mix of HTML and C# code. Components are written by user using Razor syntax. So let's go in here. Now we go into the application. And we are going to use it on the gear page. And this is gear used, welcome message, this page, blah blah. And the code is not interesting at all. We can do that, but we have code behind the thing in here as well that is empty. So if you go to the index page, home page, I think, back there, we should do something similar, namespace and then partial class, copy, in here, like this, and it's not called homepage, but it's called gear page. And we can have something on there called nope, that's not the right location. Property, public string, and that's called welcome message. String, I said welcome message. String empty. Why is this complaining? Oh, it should be in the class, obviously, not in the namespace. Now we should be able to use this. If we do the constructor, I can just put a message in there for demo purposes. Hello gear. I have my typewriter in override. That's not what I want. Hello gear. Now go to the gear page and bring in a paragraph, another paragraph. Add hello, no, a welcome message. Already recognized. Let's run this. Gear page. There's the hello gear from the code behind. Oh, what did I close there? Not sure what I closed. I closed the page, is it? No, I just minimized it. That's good. Create Blazor components. .NET new Blazor. No, that's not what I need. Pages browser. This is just a repeat of what we've seen here, I think. Because I already created a page called index. The page directive, and in this example it will be putting it on the main page, but I will putting it on the gear page. So that's already in place then. Welcome to the Blazing Pizza. In my case it's gear used. Create a user interface Blazor components. Creates a Blazor app. That's what we already did. Blazor server in this case. We are not building a Blazor server thing. Download Blazing Pizza assets and starter files. We are not doing that. We have the Blazing Pizza in place already. Blazing Pizza. Now we have a list of pizzas. In this case we are going to just create some demo things. Go into back page. This will contain a list of gear. Oh. No, not gear page. equals to new. That's the new way to initialize this thing. Now I need to add the share model. All right. And then let's go over to, where is the video page there? We have to do the same thing as here. Kind of sneaky. Let's do it according to the tutorial first, because oh wow, because I'm pretty sure that we for demo purposes we're going to create protected override void uninitialized. That means gear list add a range, new list of gear with the initializers. That's not supposed to happen. Something like this. New gear item. I should rename that to gear item, I think. Let's do that later on. New gear initializer name equals to, let's copy a couple of names there. Copy. URL. Equals to copy. That should not be on the next line. Short URL equals to something else. Copy. Comma. New gear name equals to quote URL equals to quote short URL equals to quote description equals to quote and the comma. Let's try this. Copy. Then no description. URL. Another one, short URL. Basically only need one, but Sony. Copy. That's a long URL. I'll just pick one more. Copy. Sigma lens, and that's the lens I'm using over there. It's a bit tricky when they change it over to URLs in code. If you click on it, then you probably will jump to it. Only if you do control. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one sitting there. Let's close that. Good. Let's keep it with 4. There's no waste, no use of wasting time just entering items here. So now we have to put some of these items in the list of the page here. Why is it complaining? These words must begin with uppercase characters. Which one? Not sure why it's complaining here. Is it this one? Okay, that should be welcome message because it's a property. So that should be dub. Now let's see. Let's bring in a div. Well, let's just copy it for. Copy this and adapt that, change that over to whatever is in there. Main blazing pizzas, that would be gear used. Then the list would be pizza cards. That's a CSS. That should be gear cards. Then if specials, not as null. And there's no specials. Specials, that was the code in here. Specials like the list of the gear. This one. If the gear list is not as null for each gear item in the gear list, style background image, that should be the gear item. Image URL, that's by the way a good name for it. Go to the model here. Let's rename this to image URL. And this will gear item name, gear item description, gear item that would be not, that would be the link, something like that. URL. So make that something like let's try to add an href in there. Source equals to this is not right. Do I have an href somewhere? href equals to something like this. Let's bring in the target equals to blank as well, and this should be the class URL. If you want to style that, title, now there's no text in here. Let's put in something like link. Click link. Okay, errors, no errors. Let's build it. Code block creates an array to hold the pizza specials, in my case the gear items. All succeeded. Let's run this. See if we can actually get some output there. There, gear. There we are. How cool is that? Click link. And it even works. That's this microphone over here. So that's working. Elgato gate lights. That's that one and that one. And my camera. The body it is. Wow, that price went up, I think. And the lens, there it is. Sony A6400. This fits, yeah, that's true, because it's sitting there on the same camera. Cool. Well, at least this worked. We can remove the Hello Gear thing, but we have to put this in between. So I want to move this down a little bit. Then remove the welcome message. Gear I use. Save. Let's hot reload. Let's see if it's actually working. It is. It did work. This page will list all my used gear items to make this stream happen. Yeah, obviously it needs to put some formatting in there, but we are in the right direction. Let's close this and go back with the tutorial. See if we can now change it over to the API. In the code combination, yeah, this created a card. I don't have a card in place. Fancy styling, by the way. Next, access data from a Blazor component. Register data service. Get pizza async. Call your data technology here. We have a pizza service. We have the API in place. We have all these delicious recipes. Now, initialize async. That's going into the get pizza thingy there. Is that this one? This one? Pizza service, but the pizza service is already there. Let's have a look for the service. The web there. It's this part here. That's the API. And on the index page, not the index page, on the home page, we have something like loading there. So we have to go and look in here. Let's copy this. Copy. Go to the gear page. Code behind. Now do this. And the interesting part is that we saw last time with the stream of one lion is that you basically can both have the uninitialized and you can also have this one. But let's just comment this out for now. Let's bring in the client factory. That will be injected. For that we need to resolve this. Let's have a look at this one. That's taking up this one, and we also need this one. Let's bring them all in. This is not necessary. Can you also remove this one? And now, instead of collecting let's make this a little bit wider. Client factory, that's the API, YouTube videos, but I want to get the gear list. The other one is collecting the YouTube videos. YouTube playlist videos, if I search for that. In the API, there's this one that gets all the videos. And if I compare that, that should give something. Disable cache false. That is used there. The interesting part is my part is already in here itself to list async. That returns a list of gear. Where's the gear list? There, gear list, copy. No, that should not be done on the home page. That should be done in the gear page, and I already did that. If the response is success code using response stream. Let's have a look at the code in here. Today's pizzas. This will return a task pizza something. This service. Probably don't have to deserialize even. But if I just remove all of this. The service there. Why is the service not specified in here? Call your data to access technology. Well, we can do it ourselves. Because this one will do this one, and in the case of the demo, that's put to var gear list equals to await, and then called something service. The service is basically the other one. Get pizza async. get gear list async. This should be in the service. No. I did have a service in place somewhere. Where's my service? Here, service. YouTube video service. But that should not be on the where is this called? Referenced? Like in here. This is injected in this case. Now let's return it back to what it was, like this. Let's see what we can do with it. Copy to the gear page. In the end, YouTube video list, but that's not YouTube video list in my case. It's something like it's like this. Where is it? Gear page there. We have the client factory, and then we have not the. This should be a gear list. Do we have a gear list item? Go to definition. Where is that? There. That's this. No, that's a gear item. Yeah, so I also need something like this. Copy, paste, let's rename that to gear list. That will be gear list, and it will be an enumerable of something gear list items think I need to rename this, make this a gear item. Oh, I'm not able to do that because that will be invalidating my database model. And there's no more videos in here. And there's also no need, I think, for a specific class, because it will be just a list of gear. So let's kill this. Delete. Go back to gear page. So this will be a list of gear. And we call that a gear list. Is new. Is new. That should be good. Now the question is, can we just call the API? That should be clear for gear client factory, the API. This will be gear list. And if the success is okay, using response stream, if there is a response stream, YouTube video list. List of gear, response stream options, possible null. That's not null, I think, because it's always an empty list at least. Options. List of gear. If I copy just the same way we did it in the other one. Gear list. Is that building? No. And the file expected, where? There, welcome message is no longer needed. build. Consider declaring the property as nullable. Okay. Let's try this. Let's see if it breaks. Then we own the pieces. I now only have 2 items. It's failing, I think. No response. F9. Oh, there's something here. No such column. Oh, yeah. I renamed the model. That should not be done. And now it will fail somewhere else. Yes. This will be called image right now. Build. This one is unused. What is that? Yeah, that's true. But that's on the other page. Make field read only. Why? Let's run it. See if we can get some proper output now. Gear. F10. Client. Success code. True. Read async. Item count is 2, that's correct. Elgato lights, it's working, guys. F5. This is only not showing it here. Why is it not showing it here? Because stupid. I think the reference is not. This should be public. Yeah. Let's have a look at the other one, the home page. See, that's also public. I should do something like this. Copy. make this the gear list. And that should be capital gear list, because it will be a property, new, something like this. Then, oh, twice, it's in here twice. Should be like this then. The gear list, let's check that. That should be used on the gear page itself. See, now that's not right. Because this one should be, oh, that's not right. Copy. Alt dot, I learned this. It's only this one. Build it. Yeah, F5. And there you are. How cool is that? Okay, that's working. So let's wrap it up because it's already almost 12 midnight for me. I have to get up at 6 again. So that's already a short night. So let's have a look here. The next thing what we need to do is let's first make sure that we disable the edit options in here, because we only want to list them for now, because there's no security at all here with the gear list, and we don't want to do the collection of the individual items, and we certainly don't want to delete items. So let's comment this. Let's see if it still works. F5. Now we have only the gear list left. Let's see if it still works. Oh. Did some make a mistake here, apparently. Oh, it's still breaking there. There it is. Cool. All works. I won't check this in yet because we need to continue doing some things, changing the renaming model, and probably also need to update seed the table a little bit. So cool. Great. Good success. Let's go to the main window here. So basically what we did here was walk through two tutorials there, and I can put that in the link in the chat, so you can have a look at it yourself. We will continue next time with this. Do some styling on the table, because I really want a nice picture there, and some other interesting things. And I will be back on Thursday. Thursday we won't continue with this one, but we will continue with the Office add-in, the Blazor Office add-in. I'm building an Office add-in based on Blazor. That's never performed before, I think. And if you think that's interesting for you as well, or just like to see the Blazor developments in the Office context, or Blazor in general, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, or follow me on Twitch. I will be back next Thursday. See you later, and thanks for watching.